Hey guys, welcome back to the BuzWeaver channel. We have a bit of a update kind of video, more of a rant. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go through a series of video clips here. Now keep in mind, if you have young children around, I will not be editing this video as far as the language that may happen. I will illustrate certain things, but I'm not going to edit anything out because I want you guys to hear all of it raw. But of course, everyone knows, if you guys haven't already, make sure you check out my video here from Tim Walz, and obviously he's having to, well, he's not running for a re-election because obviously the fraud is going on there. So if you guys haven't checked out that video, by all means check that out. A little bit of a plug here in the beginning. So we're going to go through a series of clips. We're going to watch them, and then I'll give you a little bit of commentary afterwards. So we're going to start it off here from Vice President J.D. Vance.
Enforcement officers at risk every single day. What that headline leaves out is the fact that that very ICE officer nearly had his life ended, dragged by a car 6 months ago, 33 stitches in his leg. So you think maybe he's a little bit sensitive about somebody ramming him with an automobile? What that headline leaves out is that that woman was there to interfere with a legitimate law enforcement operation in the United States of America. What that headline leaves out is that that woman is part of a broader left-wing network to attack, to dox, to assault, and to make it impossible for our ICE officers to do their job. If the media wants to tell the truth, they ought to tell the truth that a group of left-wing radicals have been working tirelessly, sometimes using domestic terror techniques to try to make it impossible for the President of the United States to do what the American people elected him to do, which is enforce our immigration laws. The President stands with ICE. I stand with ICE. We stand with all of our law enforcement officers. And part of that is recognizing that you people in the media, not everybody in this room, but many people in this room have been lying about this attack. She was trying to ram this guy with her car. He shot back. He defended himself. He's already been seriously wounded in law enforcement operations before, and everybody who's been repeating the lie that this is some innocent woman who was out for a drive in Minneapolis when a law enforcement officer shot at her, you should be ashamed of yourselves. Every single one of you.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Almost word for word as the way we outline these things here on the BuzWeaver channel. I really enjoy J.D. Vance being as articulate as he is, so well-spoken. And he's just amazing with his speech, and he doesn't let anyone get over on him. You're not going to get over on J.D. Vance. It isn't going to happen. And this is why I made the video here, to illustrate to you guys that Donald Trump is now has a huge momentum right now. And the Republicans and the Republicans need to stay in front of this because the Democrats are already jumping all over this. And we're going to see some of the comments that were made from yesterday so you guys can see how quickly, as he says here, how quickly the media platforms these individuals without evidence. How many times did we see any article written about Donald Trump? Donald Trump says without evidence, constantly saying this, but they went out immediately and started covering what Walz was saying, what Jacob Fry was saying, and they just ran with it because this is what they do, ladies and gentlemen. This is the establishment that we talk about here on the BuzWeaver channel. Now, I don't have to explain this to you guys because you guys are astute, you guys are shrewd, you guys already know what's going on, and this is why you're amazing. And, of course, you guys hit the like button and participate here on the channel, and I appreciate it. So let's move on before I get overly ranty.
Order to prepare the Minnesota National Guard. We have soldiers in training and prepared to be deployed if necessary. I remind you, a warning order is a heads up for folks. And these National Guard troops are our National Guard troops. They're teachers in your community. They're business owners. They're construction professionals. They are Minnesotans. Minnesota will not allow our community to be used as a prop in a national political fight. We will not take the bait. We will continue to update you, Minnesota, as we get more information.
Now, can you imagine if Donald Trump came out and said something very similar to this? I mean, the whole essence of what we just recognized here a couple of days ago with January 6th was the fact that they said Donald Trump was inciting. What do you think he just did there? I mean, I don't even have to infer anything. We can clearly see that this man who is not running for re-election again, for the magnitude of fraud that went there is epic. It is definitely as equally as coordinated as everything we're seeing now with the establishment. With Donald Trump getting all this momentum, they are terrified. They are absolutely terrified, and they are resorting to this type of behavior. It's absolutely extraordinary. And to add to that, which won't require me to outline the same things you guys have heard me say many times, here we have Jacob Fry.
I can say, again, that'll make this situation better, but I do have a message for our community, for our city, and I have a message for ICE. To ICE, get the fuck out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here. Your stated reason for being in this city is to create some kind of safety, and you are doing exactly the opposite. People are being hurt. Families are being ripped apart. Long-term Minneapolis residents that have contributed so greatly to our city, to our culture, to our economy are being terrorized, and now somebody is dead.
Now, does this sound unifying to you guys? Does this sound like a way to calm things down, or is this fuel on the fire? This is, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say something very crass right now, but it's very true. The Democrats were just hoping this was going to happen. They were just waiting for this to happen. So this goes to show you the level of tolerance, the level of restraint that ICE has shown, because none of this nonsense that he and Tim talk about would be happening if citizens weren't emboldened by them to take law enforcement into their own hands. They are inciting. These people are already emotionally and maybe mentally charged already. And now you're saying these things, and what do you expect them to do? I mean, the same could be said for nearly assassinating Donald Trump, because we heard Joe Biden, the president, then say that Donald Trump was a threat to the very soul of our country, the very threat to everything here in our country. What do you expect these radicals to think in their minds? This is an opportunity then for them to score points. It's ridiculous. Speaking of which, I was going to make this video yesterday. I know a few of you guys pointed this out to me, and I appreciate it, and I thank you for it. But here is the video that I made yesterday on the ABC5 out of Minnesota showing exactly what happened. Hey, guys, we were fortunate enough to have this clip from ABC5 in Minnesota where the arrow is pointing. You see the agent standing in front of the vehicle, and then he's going to get slightly pushed and out of the way by the vehicle. Now, of course, the left would consider that being hit by a vehicle, as they like to say when ICE does that. And then, unfortunately, this woman tragically lost her life. That is incredibly unfortunate. Here it is again, magnified, clearly getting hit and pushed out of the way, as you see here in this clip. Now, a lot of people on Instagram, which we're about to go over to Instagram now, was commenting about, oh, you said pushed and knocked out of the way. Well, which is it? Was he hit with? Look, man, you can see it with your own eyes. I slowed it down so everyone could see what was going on. If you see it at real speed, it is very fast. It is very quick. And I would argue, as I say, I thought I had mentioned it here, but I didn't. If it wasn't for the fact that the roads were slick, right, or ice or whatever was going on there, she backed it into the snow and stuff. If that ice had not been there to warn the officer once her wheel started spinning, he probably would have been seriously hurt. And do you think we would have seen all the candlelights protest out there if he had been hurt or wounded or even killed? I don't know whether or not we'd be seeing all that. And I wondered exactly what, Walls and Fry would say. I'm very curious. And I'm going to try to let you guys hear the entire thing here. But the way, Instagram audio works is really annoying. So here we go.
There, because she was the main car leading the protest, is my understanding. I talked to another guy who was driving behind her, but she was very successful in blocking traffic. She was doing what she was set out to do, and so they wanted to get her the hell out of there. Yeah.
So it looked like she was impeding ICE vehicles.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay.
That was her goal. They clearly want.
Exactly. That's their goal. So you have a witness here that was there. You can obviously see that she's shaken up and rattled by what happened because she witnessed someone getting shot and killed by the police, or ICE, I should say, to be more specific. And I don't know if these people aren't going to learn a lesson from this. This just emboldens them even more. These people need to be arrested. They shouldn't be out impeding law enforcement. In every state in the United States, in all 50 states, impeding a peace officer, as it's worded, I think, and interfering with a peace officer is a crime. It is a crime. You're endangering yourself, and you're endangering them. We saw it perfectly yesterday. It wasn't a matter of if it was going to happen. It was a matter of when it was going to happen. And at least, and let's not forget, with all this going on with Venezuela and going on with the shooting yesterday, they're being investigated in the fraud case. And I'm just going to play a little bit of that here. It's the congressional hearing is taking place right now investigating the fraud that is going on in Minnesota.
There's a big difference between 54% and 7%, is there not?
Excuse me, sir. Could I answer the question?
Let me move on. We've got a lot of questions here. What percentage of Somali-headed households in Minnesota are on Medicaid?
I don't know.
It's 73%. Do you know what that number is for Minnesota native households?
Again, you're using the phrase Minnesota native households, but the majority...
The number is 18%. That's quite an astounding difference. I think we would agree.
Can I answer the question, please?
Let me ask you one more, and then we can go on to that. What percentage of Somali-headed households are on welfare in general?
I don't know.
It's 81%. What about, let me just ask you, after 10 years of being in the United States, what percentage of Somali immigrant households continue to be on welfare?
I don't know.
The number is 78%. So even after 10 years, 78% of Somali immigrant households continue to be on welfare. Do you know what that number is for native Minnesota-headed households?
Again, you're using
non-Somali immigrant-headed households.
If I can just answer the question, when you're using the phrase native Minnesotans, the majority of Somali Minnesotans are as Minnesotan as any of us. They were born in the United States. It's only 8,000 of the 108,000 Somalis.
And nevertheless, the welfare usage is astoundingly different.
It is. And if you sit here and listen to these numbers, it can't be overly emphasized how epic that fraud was. And like I said, it is not a mom and pop in their kitchen or a group of community members involved in some multi-level marketing scheme that are out there defrauding Minneapolis or Minnesota. This is city, county, state, and federal fraud level activity that's going on here. It's ridiculous. And here they are out here. I can't play any of this because it's just rant filled. Nick Shorter put himself in a lot of danger out there. He had 6 of his personal security officers with him that were following him, and they gave him a signal that they had to get the heck out of there because it was getting way too dangerous for them to be there. These people have not learned a single thing, and they don't. I'm going to tell you a very simple outline, as I tell many others. These individuals do not argue to understand. They argue to win. They're not there to try to understand what your perspective is, what your philosophy, worldview, and ideology is. They're there to ensure that you that you comply to them. They probably don't even care whether you understand them or not, because most of the time you can't. It's very incoherent. Their ideas and ideology, philosophies, and worldview do not contrast with or line up with reality. It just doesn't. These are emotionally charged people who base their actions on their emotions. And they are emotionally charged, especially since what also happened with Maduro. And we'll get to that in a minute. But I wanted to go through this, and the reason I mention that is because many Venezuelans, as I have here and saved, all these individuals are telling the leftists that they have no idea what in the world it is that they're talking about, what they had to experience, what they went through. The left were just going off their talking points because they don't base anything off reason. They base everything off emotion. And so these individuals, these Venezuelans, were putting all of those people in their place. And so it was a terrible, terrible day for the left. I mean, an awful, awful day for the left. And so they had to get in front of this somehow in some way, and look at the way they did it. Now, I'm not saying that this individual woman who put herself in danger, as this woman describes here, the woman there, by the way, I thought I had along with this, so she apparently just moved there. She's from Missouri. This is the Honda Pilot. And also wanted to mention, too, if it wasn't for the rounded front end of the vehicle, the agent probably would have been even more seriously injured, even with all the ice having helped it. But because the front of the Pilot is kind of rounded, it probably helped him out. But this was the woman's car, and I feel badly for her. Because, what is it, the old expression, right? The old Darwin thing. You do dumb things, and these things happen to you. She died for a cause that the left isn't going to care about for her, because they're going to just keep on marching and keep on doing like we saw this dude over here. They're just going to keep on going. They've learned nothing. And here's a guy, and you can see this was all the organization that goes on. The organization.
Let's see where they go. We're following these paid protesters and seeing where they're bringing all...
Sorry, guys.
This is kind of odd. Look at all these signs that we have over here. Where are they going with this? Watch them all just hop in a van and be on their way. Hey, excuse me, sir, can I ask you a question about why you guys are carrying all these signs? Sir, would you be able to answer a question? I'm just curious to know where you guys are bringing all these signs and where do they come from? They look very nice. How much do you guys pay for these signs?
All right, you guys get the picture. I think you guys get the picture. But it's extraordinary. And the Republicans have got to stay in front of this. They have got to get in front of this because the Democrats are always going to be platformed by the media. The media is always going to give those microphones to any of the representatives out there from the Democrat Party. They are going to be out there with the cause. They're going to be out there pushing the lines. They're going to be pushing the narratives. They're going to be platforming Walz. They're going to be platforming Fry. They're going to get all these people in front of microphones. And as I said, I'm going to repeat it again. Anytime Donald Trump said something, when they wrote articles about it, was without evidence. Without evidence. And these individuals just came out and said specifically that ICE was targeting Minnesotans. And that's ridiculous. ICE is not targeting these individuals. They're targeting specific individuals. Specifically. And it is not incumbent upon citizens of a city to determine whether or not law enforcement should be doing law enforcement in their community. It's ridiculous. And I keep saying this every time, and I made a post about this with J.D. Vance as well. It's so funny because they have got to get ahead of this. They have got to get in front of this. The Democrats are going to keep pushing. They're not going to quit. They are on fire with hate for Donald Trump. And the midterms are coming up. And they have got to stay in front of this. And you guys are welcome to leave your thoughts and comments down in the comments section of all of this that was going on, because this is kind of what we talk about here. This is the kind of things that are happening. Let me know what your thoughts are, what your opinions are, what you've experienced, what you saw, what you're hearing. If you're welcome to leave that down there. And, of course, tomorrow we'll have the Friday vlog. But I want to thank all you guys, BitChute, Rumble, Odyssey. You guys have been amazing. Everyone here on YouTube, thank you so much for your continued support. Below this video, you can find all social media links I belong to include X and Instagram, as well as my affiliate marketing links. You guys know how those work. So thank you guys so much for your continued support. And all of you watching on YouTube right now, you can see that channel icon appearing there on the screen. You guys can click on that to subscribe, as well as a select notification. That way you know when there's content here on the channel.